The Alternative Corner, where we will follow topics of interest other than boxing. At October Red, we always want to engage with our listeners and accommodate what our viewers want to listen to. Feedback is essential. Feel free to tell us yours. This is episode 5, where we discuss the British DJ Tim Westwood being charged with a series of sexual offences dating back to 1983 until 2016. The charges were published via the Met Police to media outlets on Thursday, October 9th, 2025.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. It's Abs of October Red, and we are back for the Alternative Corner. We've paused on Noel Clarke because we're going to go back to it. But today, we're going to talk about Tim Westwood. Yep. Those of you that listen to hip hop in the UK and probably abroad, to be fair, knew who Tim Westwood was. To be honest, I wasn't really a fan of his. Excuse me. He was a maths teacher, wasn't he, originally? And I'm never really a fan of anyone that puts on an accent or talks like Ali G. But maybe that's just the way he spoke, I don't know. But we digress. I digress. I'm talking about personal opinions now. It does sneak in a little bit with me. But here's the headline. CPS have authorised and brought 15 charges against Timothy Westwood, age 68, 4 rape, 9 indecent assault, 2 sexual assault, alleged November 2025 for the actual court case. These span over from 1983 to 2016, involving 7 women. And like I said, he's supposed to be going to court in November 2025, but he's been charged. So he's not been convicted, he's been charged. So he's got to go to Magistrates Court in November 2025, where he'll enter a guilty or not guilty plea. Dependent on that is whether he goes to a full trial or not, public interest, all the rest of it. But let's go into it then. So the year ranges are from the Crown Prosecution and the Met Police. So 1983 in Fulham, London, indecent assault on a 17-year-old. 1986, Vauxhall, London, indecent assault on a woman in her 20s. 1995 to 1996, London, Central London, rape of a 17 to 18-year-old and a indecent assault on the same complainant or victim. 2000 to 2001, London, rape and an indecent assault of a 17 to 18-year-old. 2010, London, rape of a woman in her 20s. 2010, Stroud in Gloucestershire, sexual assault of a woman in her 20s. 2016, Finchley, London, sexual assault of a woman in her 20s. So these are all alleged, but there was enough. Remember we spoke about the Noel Clarke thing, and they said there wasn't enough to reach the threshold to the likelihood of a conviction. This is where we are with this. So they have enough evidence to charge. So they believe the Crown Prosecution Service, which is the police, they believe they've got enough evidence to secure a conviction. So they're confident with this. That's why it's got this far. If they're not confident, they'll say insufficient evidence at this moment, but should anything else come to light, we'll be knocking on your door again. All the usual stuff that we've covered already. So they've got enough where they believe there's a stronger likelihood of securing a conviction, which for him, with how many counts of rape, means prison. So the official charge list is 4 rape, 9 indecent assaults, 2 sexual assaults, 7 complainants, 1983 to 2016, and the venue of this is going to be Westminster Magistrates, and that's the first appearance. Like I said, they'll probably just have his name and his date of birth, and they might have a little bit of a chat. I'm not sure if he's going to be asked to enter a plea on that. He might do, but it is the initial first hearing. So allegedly it's on the 10th of November, but there's some discrepancy around that. 11th of November, we'll see. It's in November, we know that much, and when it happens, you know that courts are usually public, so you can go in and sit down and have a listen to the trial anyway. I always wanted to go and sit down and listen to one of these. If this goes to trial, I might actually make the effort to go and sit through it, so I can report back to you guys daily what's happening in the courts, give you guys a detailed description. I don't think he's going to be protected. In other words, I don't think it's going to be a closed court. It's probably going to be an open court. But like, you can't have cameras, you can't be filming, and that's why all the journalistics reports in the UK courts are written. So we'll see what happens here. So the Metropolitan Police says that the investigation remains open and invites further information. Their newsroom 9th of October lists the 7 dated located allegations and gives a Metropolitan Police contact. So here we go again, Jimmy Savile, but this one's alive, fortunately. Jimmy Savile got away with it, didn't he? Because it's only in his death did things start to uncover. We're going to get into that anyway. So they're encouraging more people to come forward. So they strongly believe that there's lots of other people involved. And like I said, remember his background, he's a maths teacher, so he used to work with either kids or people of college age before. I don't know where he worked. Here we go. BBC Independent Review, and this is the pre-charge background. The BBC commissioned Gemma White King's Counsel report 25th of February 2025. Estimated cost was 3.3 million in reviewing what the BBC knew while Westwood worked there from 1994 till 2013. The report cites additional complaints, warnings and BBC handlings. Portions are redacted to avoid prejudicing the criminal case. However, that information is there. There's lots of stuff that are redacted, in other words, blacked out so you can't see. There may be potentially protecting witnesses, but here they've said they've done that to avoid prejudicing the criminal case, because in the UK we live in a democracy and everyone, no matter who you are, you're entitled to a fair trial by an independent judge that has no side in this, that is there to gather the evidence to determine what the outcome of you will be. Interesting. Yes. The UK won't publish full case files online. We don't have the privilege that America has. America usually blasts everything online. We do have sometimes newspaper reports, but it's not in full detail. Criminals and victims are protected in this country. We do have a lot of privacy laws that prevent like the full case file going out, unless it's civil court, as we see with the Noel Clarke stuff, where it's libel, slander. You know, you've got the whole of the judgment there for you to read. So it's slightly different with criminal cases. Another case that I'm going to cover is the Michael Ward case as well. The young actor from Top Boy, to see what's happening with him, because he's got some allegations that he needs to answer to also. So basically what the police will do, you know, the press, they'll just have a meeting with the press and or give them a statement of what's happened over the phone. So you can try and get the documents, but you'll have to justify why. So we think about legal cautions, anonymity. Complainants in sexual cases have a lifetime anonymity under the Sexual Offences Amendment Act 1992. You can't identify them by name. You do get some victims that are involved in sexual offences, obviously, that have been assaulted, raped, etc., and they waive their anonymity. They choose to like say, yeah, I'm going to take the stand and I'm going to let everybody know who I am, etc., etc. You do have some victims that do that. However, there is an automatic entitlement under the Sexual Offences Act 1992, which was amended, that you're entitled to a lifetime of anonymity. We saw the similar case with the restricted reporting orders, was it? With the civil case where they allowed pseudonyms in the court. Like I said, when you get this, sometimes the pushback from the defence will, well, how can we challenge, how can we argue our case? You're not even letting us know who the victims are. This could be slander. It could be an ex-partner trying to get one back on them. And in the current climate, I think, what's her name? Victoria. Can't remember the girl's name. There's a going around on the internet about her falsely accusing. This is allegations because I don't know the ins and outs. She has falsely accused someone of rape, an ex-partner. And what I will say, I think that's despicable. When you get accused for a sexual offence such as rape, it stays on your record forever, even if it's just an arrest. So if you try and get a job in a school, say for example, this is if you're innocent, I'm not saying if you're guilty. If you're innocent and you've been falsely accused, you try and get a job in a school working with kids, anything like that, they can't employ you because you're classed as a risk. Yeah? So rape is a serious allegation, and it's extremely hard to prove because of those reasons. I'm digressing again. But anyway. So April 2022, BBC Guardian investigation published misconduct allegations. Westwood steps down from Capital Extra. He was on the radio then, wasn't he? I never listened. 2022 to 2025, so a 3-year investigation was done by the Metropolitan Police. 3 years. They must have went digging. 25th of February 2025, Gemma White, King's Counsel report on the BBC handling published. BBC apologises. We're sorry we protected him. Something along those lines. I wonder where that's happened before. Anyway, October the 9th, CPS announces 15 charges. 4 rape, 9 indecent assault, 2 sexual assault. Alleged offences from 1983 to 2016. These victims were aged between 17 and in their 20s. Okay? Obviously, he's 68 now. So I'm not even going to do the maths how old he was in 1983. Get your calculators out. This is freestyle. So allegedly he's supposed to be going to court in November 2025. And then it's looking like he's probably going to go to Crown Court after. So first appearance, magistrates, are you such and such, Timothy Westwood, blah, 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 yes. Have you got a plea at this stage? Blah, blah, blah. Get guilty, not guilty, whatever. So this is going to crave a lot of media attention. And if I can get to this, if I can try and go to this trial, get some days to go to the trial, I will. And then I'll fill you guys in on the alternative corner, because that's what we're here for. There are several news articles from the Financial Times, the Guardian, the Sun, the usual tabloids. They've got all of the information that has been passed on from the police, but 15 charges from rape to sexual assault is a lot. Remember, they're urging more people to come forward. So this is not over. They're looking to, figuratively speaking, metaphorically speaking, nail his coffin shut with this. And the likelihood of a prosecution, because they've charged him with it, there's a likelihood that, yeah, he's probably going to get convicted. He might not get convicted of all of them, but he will be convicted of some of them, and that's jail time for him. And a 68-year-old man that was highly respected by some in the hip-hop community. It's a shame for him, but like I said, I was never a fan. I used to support my local DJs. Sorry, the ones that used to play on the pirate radio station, because they could never bust through to mainstream. But we're not going to get into that conversation. but I would support the local hip-hop DJs. Shout out to you guys from Handsworth. EDD is one of the names that comes to my attention. Those that used to play on PCRL, Silk FM, Choice FM. There's a couple of other radio stations in Handsworth that I can't even remember because it's been a while. But anyway, as I like to say to you guys, this is all alleged, by the way. He's not been found guilty. These are charges. I'd like to know what you think in the comments. I am coming out with some more content. I've got JK and Connor Tusbury from the boxing scene to pop on to the channel. They'll be out this evening. I thought I'd throw this one out now. Yeah, let me know what you think, guys. And we'll be back to Noel Clark soon. It's just been a bit hectic this week. But as per usual, I appreciate all of your support, all of the listens, all of the comments. You guys are absolutely great. Have a fantastic weekend. I've got to shout out my sponsors, SA UK, Maximum Security, Minimum Fuss. We're looking to have a little bit of a quieter week next week with boxing, probably try and get some online stuff done. And then after that, we go into the Boxer and the Queensbury week. How that's going to work, I do not know.
Thank you for listening to The Alternative Corner.
And as we
Most
say,
of our
October
listeners
Red,
have not yet
stay
subscribed.
ready.
We kindly ask you for your support by subscribing to our channel and to share our content. October Red is sponsored by SA UK, Maximum Security, Minimum Fuss.